let's address some of the main questions people ask about GLP-1s outside of dosing and side effects and what it's used for and all those things. Let's talk about what happens when you stop. Let's talk about maintaining, and let's talk about microdosing. So, the evidence is pretty clear that whether it's semaglutide, tirzepatide, or retatrutide, you can expect some amount of weight loss 13%, 23%, 30% in the most recent trials of retatrutide, the triple agonist GLP-1 receptor. And what many people worry about is, am I going to have to be on this drug for forever? And I think when you're looking at diabetes and chronic obesity, the factors that go into those diseases will likely be around, whether it was food noise, your behaviors, your relationship with food. If you do not dramatically change your lifestyle, you will likely need the appetite suppression or the effects of insulin sensitivity that the GLP-1 brings you. But the question is, what happens when I stop? Well, we know that about 60 to 70% of people regain the weight. But the question is that because of the medication itself, or is that because of lifestyle changes? I firmly believe, based on the data I've read and the clinical experience I have, that the people who are regaining the weight is because they relied so heavily on the medication at high doses to make them nauseous, to make them have no appetite, that they did not make the lifestyle changes, increase their lean protein, increase their fiber, increase their activity, increase their resistance training. And this is something I focus on so much with my patients is stop focusing on what you're going to cut out and focus on what you're going to add into your life in order to meet your goals. Increase lean protein, fiber, activity, resistance training, sleep, stress management. Those are the things that long-term help with those lifestyle changes that help you maintain the body composition that you truly want. So if people are regaining weight after stopping a GLP-1, is there any benefit from doing it and then regaining the weight? Well, I'll tell you this. If you lose 50 pounds and regain 25 pounds, you still lost 25 pounds, which I think for most people's health is a great thing. But the Surmount trial looked at a post hoc analysis of tirzepatide, and they looked at in people who regained the weight after stopping tirzepatide, was there any maintained effects? They looked at their fasting insulin, their A1C, their cholesterol, the triglyceride HDL ratio, all of these metabolic factors that are associated with poor outcomes with heart disease, kidney disease, stroke, cerebrovascular accidents. And they said, was there any difference? And what they found was that if people regained up to 50%, but not over, that those cardiometabolic factors and those improvements in those cardiometabolic factors was actually maintained. So this was in a post hoc analysis after stopping for greater than 6 months of tirzepatide. So if you're looking at your overall health and your cardiovascular disease risk, your metabolic disease risk, there actually is benefit in using it to lose weight, to improve your metabolic function, and you have that maintained at least somewhat long term. The question for most people would be then, should I just stay on this? Well, the Surmount Maintain trial looked at people who were on high doses of tirzepatide and then were reduced to 5 milligram dose. And what they found is that this was much more effective than stopping or placebo. So I think for most people, the answer is ongoing treatment at potentially lower doses is likely better than stopping. And the way I like to phrase it for patients is this. Let's say you're 40 years old, you're 100 pounds or 50 pounds overweight. It took you 40 years to get to the weight that you were at. It might take you 4 to 10 years to get to the weight you want to be and to maintain that for a long period of time. I truly believe we are in an environment that makes it really impossible for many people. There are genetic factors that are associated with hunger and satiety. We are surrounded by ultra processed foods that are calorically dense and highly palatable and don't fill us up. And so unless you're able to eat 90% whole real food, focus on lean protein, focus on lean fiber, get plenty of activity and increase your muscle but through resistance training, get enough sleep and manage your stress, it can be really hard to maintain weight loss. And I just want to say I personally have struggled with this. I had a 100-pound weight loss with diet and exercise. I have fluctuated since then, sometimes on purpose to gain muscle, sometimes less on purpose, and now have been able to maintain that greater than 100-pound weight loss. But I have utilized microdoses of GLP-1s in order to help me do that because I have so much food noise. And food noise is this idea that all of us have a relationship with food. And sometimes that's a big T trauma, sometimes it's a little T trauma. And in the end, you have a relationship with food that dictates your everyday response to it, whether it's emotional eating, binge eating, or just how you maintain your diet. And so I think for many people, the food noise aspect is one of the biggest things that helps with the relationship with food and helps them meet their goals. It's less so about being so nauseous that you don't eat or having so much appetite suppression that you don't eat. It's being able to make conscious decisions long term. And so for many people, the food noise aspect is what is so helpful for maintenance and maintaining a lower dose. The next question that I get asked all the time is microdosing appropriate for GLP-1s? And I think the clinical answer is we just don't have enough data yet. Like no one has truly studied in a randomized controlled study the low doses, less than 2.5 milligrams of tirzepatide, less than 2 milligrams of retatrutide, less than 0.25 milligrams of semaglutide. But many people are doing this. I would say thousands of patients I've encountered are telling me that they're doing a less than therapeutic dose of a compounded tirzepatide or semaglutide to either treat PCOS, to treat endometriosis, to help with food noise, to help maintain weight, because they're like, I don't need this much of the medication. And it's not a willpower issue. It is a biology issue. It's a hunger issue. It's an environment issue. And so I think we will continue to see data come out that shows how those effects, whether it's the metabolic effects, the food noise effects, the effects on appetite, the effects on inflammation. We have great data that is showing that rheumatoid arthritis, psoriatic arthritis, risk of dementia is decreased with these medications. And so I think we will continue to find that this is going to be a mainstay for many treatments. And me, as a menopause certified practitioner, feel very strongly that the metabolic effects that are associated with menopause will continue to be treated with adjunctive therapy in addition to menopausal hormone therapy, GLP-1s. So tirzepatide, semaglutide, retatrutide, I think all of those answers, should I discontinue? Should I maintain? Should I microdose? Is there any benefit even if I do stop it and regain weight? We've covered those things. And I think all of those things will continue to develop more and more data, which will be one of the more interesting things about being a physician and a pioneer in this space.